Welcome back students to another lesson. In this lesson, we'll discuss the last topic for your Rutherford's model, which is your impact parameter. And then we will move to our new model of atoms, which is your Bohr's atomic model. So let's start with your impact parameter. So let us consider your Rutherford's model. In this model, you had a gold foil. On this gold foil, we will shoot alpha particles. Now, as we shoot alpha particles, what you can notice is that some of them are being scattered at different angle. Let's just check the traces of these particles. So can you see the atoms which are moving far away from the nucleus of the atom, they move in almost in a straight direction, whereas the ones which are closer, which are moving, the alpha particles which are moving closer to the nucleus are getting scattered at various angles. Can you see? They are being scattered at different angles. Now all this scattering depends upon the impact parameter. So what is the impact parameter? The impact parameter is defined as the perpendicular distance of the velocity vector of the alpha particle from the center of the nucleus when it is far away from the atom. So to understand this impact parameter, consider a nucleus of the atom. Okay, this is the nucleus. Okay, now consider this point as the center of the nucleus. Okay, so consider a line which passes through the center of a nucleus. Okay, so this is your line which passes through the center of the nucleus. That means on this line, the center of the nucleus lies. Fine. Now consider you have a alpha particle which is incident on this nucleus. So out of number of the alpha particle, let us consider three types of alpha particle. This is your first alpha particle, this is second, this is third. They are differentiated on the basis of the distance from the center of the nucleus. Can you see? This is closest to the center of the nucleus. This is at a position intermediate from the center of the nucleus, and this is furthest from the center of the nucleus. Fine. Now let us consider the first one. If this alpha particle is projected towards the nucleus, since it is very far from the nucleus, okay, can you see the distance? It is very far from the nucleus. So in such case, the Coulombic force between the positive charges of the nucleus, you know, inside the nucleus you will have protons. Inside the nucleus you have protons. Similarly, inside the alpha particle also you have two protons. So if you have protons and protons, that means this is positively charged as well as your nucleus is also positively charged. Now since there is two positive charge, so these two charges should repel each other. Fine. But we know from your physics part 1 we have studied your Coulombic force of attraction or repulsion. What was your Coulombic force? Your Coulombic force is given as F equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught times the charge Q1, the charge of the nucleus, Q2, the charge of the alpha particle, divided by r square. And what is this r square? This r represents the distance between the alpha particle and the nucleus. Now can you see, in this case this distance r is greater as compared for this one and this one. Can you see this alpha particle is furthest away from the, okay, let me just keep it more further. So, okay, suppose if the alpha particle is placed somewhere here, okay, so it is very far from the nucleus. That means this r distance, the distance between these two charge, this r is very large. If r is very large, what happens? The force will be very small. If the force is very small, therefore there is no influence of this source charge. This is the nucleus. The nucleus does not influence this test charge, which is your proton, which is your alpha particle. Fine. So if there is no influence of the force, what happens? This alpha particle will move undeviated. Fine. So this is for the first alpha particle. Now similarly consider your second alpha particle. Now this alpha particle also moves towards your nucleus. Now as it moves towards the nucleus, fine. So somewhere at this distance, what will happen? This alpha particle will be very close to the nucleus. It will be close to the nucleus as compared to this alpha particle. So if it is close to the nucleus, what happens? This Coulombic force will come into the picture. Why? Because this R will be significant now. If this R is significant, what will happen? There will be a Coulombic force of repulsion, which will push this alpha particle away from itself. Fine. So what will happen to this alpha particle is that as it approaches the nucleus, as soon as it comes near the nucleus, what will happen? It will be repelled to move in the other direction. Fine. So in this case, what happens? This alpha particle has changed its trajectory. Why? Because there is a larger impact on this alpha particle from this nucleus as compared to this alpha particle. Is there any impact on this alpha particle due to the nucleus? No. Why? Because this is very far away from the nucleus. Fine. Now similarly, let us consider this third alpha particle, this one. Okay, let us keep it closer to the center of the nucleus. Okay, suppose it is somewhere closer to the center of the nucleus. Okay, now what will happen as this alpha particle approaches the nucleus? Okay, a point will reach when the kinetic energy of this alpha particle will become to the electrostatic potential created by this nucleus. So at this point, the kinetic energy of the alpha particle equals to the potential energy of the nucleus. That means the force which is incident in this direction and the force which is exerted by the nucleus in this direction are equal. Now after some time, what will happen? The closer this alpha particle gets to the nucleus, okay, the closer it will get, what happened? This force will start to come into the picture. Okay, this force will come in the picture because of the potential created by this nucleus. So if this force comes into the picture, what happens? This is positive charge, nucleus is also positive charge. So this nucleus will repel this alpha particle back in the direction where it came from. Such type of collision is your head-on collision. Fine. So what will happen to this alpha particle? This alpha particle will come closer to the nucleus. After its kinetic energy, potential energy becomes nucleus, it will become stationary for some time, and then this force will come into the picture which will push this alpha particle back into the direction where it came from. Fine. So we have considered the case of the three alpha particles. This is the first alpha particle, your second alpha particle, and your third alpha particle. In the case of the first alpha particle, suppose this one represents the velocity vector for the first alpha particle. That means the direction in which the particle is moving with a velocity v is known as your velocity vector. It is shown by this green arrow. Okay, so this is your velocity vector. Now can you see, has this alpha particle been influenced by this nucleus? No. So is there any impact on this alpha particle from this nucleus? No. So there is no scattering in this case. Okay. Okay, now let us consider for this second alpha particle. The particle was initially moving in this direction, so its velocity vector represents this direction. But in this case, this velocity vector is closer to the nucleus, so the distance between this trajectory, this velocity vector, and the center of the nucleus, okay, this distance this distance, which is represented by b, is the impact parameter. The closer this, the smaller this impact parameter, the more impact the alpha particle has. Okay, so in this case, the distance between the velocity vector and the center of the nucleus, this perpendicular distance, okay, when the alpha particle is away from the nucleus, this distance is your impact parameter. Now, when the impact parameter is of the medium order, what happens in this case? The particle was supposed to travel in this direction, but since this impact parameter is small as compared to this case, in this case you have a large impact parameter, okay, very big impact parameter, but the impact parameter for the second alpha particle is small as compared to this one. So what will happen? The particle gets scattered. Okay, so this green line represents the direction in which the particle should move, but this red line shows the actual direction where the particle has moved. So here an angle is coming into a picture. This is known as your scattering angle. Fine. This is for your second alpha particle, alpha 2. Fine. Now similarly, let us consider, let me write this one as B2, okay. Now similarly, consider your third alpha particle. If this is the initial direction, okay, let us consider this one as the velocity vector for the third alpha particle. Okay, this is your velocity vector for the third alpha particle. In that case, this distance will be your impact parameter. The distance of this velocity vector from the center of the nucleus when it is further away, when it is farthest from the nucleus, okay. So this distance, this perpendicular distance will be your impact parameter. For this third alpha particle, I'll represent with P3. So in this case, you have the smallest impact parameter. If there is a smallest impact parameter, means the alpha particle will have more impact on it. Okay, why? Because it is very close to the nucleus. If it is moving very close to the nucleus, it will be scattered at a larger angle. Fine. So, okay, so again, if this green arrow represents the direction in which the alpha particle should have moved, but this red arrow shows the direction in which the alpha particle has moved. So there is a angle coming into a picture. This angle is known as the angle of scattering for the third alpha particle. Fine. So what you can notice from this figure is that the larger this impact parameter distance, the less the impact on the alpha particle. The less the impact on the alpha particle, smaller will be the scattering angle. Now in this case, what will be the scattering angle? If this green arrow represents the direction in which the alpha particle should move, and this red arrow shows the direction in which the actual alpha particle is moving, so what is the angle between this green and the red arrow? 0. So larger the impact parameter, okay, the smaller will be the impact on this alpha vector, alpha particle. The smaller the impact, the smaller the scattering angle. Now consider the second case. If you have medium impact parameter, there will be some small scattering angle on the alpha particle. If this alpha particle is very small, what happens? The scattering angle is very large because there is a large impact on this alpha particle due to this nucleus. So all this scattering angles, can you see? The angle at which the alpha particle is scattered depends on the impact parameter, this blue distance, the distance of the velocity vector from the center of the nucleus. Fine. So with this we have finished our Rutherford's model. Fine. Now, as we had already discussed that there were some failures with the Rutherford's model. To overcome those failures, one of the students of the Rutherford by the name of Niels Bohr, okay, he proposed another atomic model. Okay, so next we'll start with the Bohr's atomic model. Now before we start with Bohr's atomic model, let us start with the Bohr's atomic postulate. The first postulate is your nuclear concept. This nuclear concept states that, so just like the Rutherford's model, Niels Bohr said that your atom consists of a central massive core. Okay, this central massive core is positive in charge because of protons. Okay, an atom has a central massive core of positive charge around which the electrons revolve just like the planets revolve around the sun in our solar system. Fine. So these are your electrons. They revolve around the nucleus just like the planets which move in the solar system around the sun. Fine. Now in this case, so apart from this one, the electron which revolve around this nucleus should have a centripetal force, a force which pulls the body towards the center of the nucleus. This is your centripetal force. This force is provided by the electrostatic force between the positive charge nucleus and the negative charge electron. This is the electrostatic force which is acted on this negative charge by this positive charge, which pulls the body towards the center. Therefore, your centripetal force and your electrostatic force are balanced. Hence, this electron revolves around the nucleus in a circular orbit. Therefore, an atom consists of a small massive central core called nucleus around which planetary electrons revolve. The centripetal force required for the rotation is provided by the electrostatic attraction between the electrons and the nucleus. Fine. So that's it for today's class. Thank you. And there are 3 more postulates of this Bohr's atomic model which we will discuss in our next class. Okay. So if you have any confusion or doubt, please don't hesitate to ask. I will re-explain it to you again. So again, thank you.